Hello, everybody. My name is Ntaviso Mwechana and I am a spiritual medium. Thank you for coming through to the channel and thank you for your comments. Thank you for your subscriptions. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit your notification button so that you are kept abreast as and when content is uploaded. So, as I'm doing this recording is actually the 3rd of January and we are into the year 2023. So for those of you who are observing the Gregorian calendar, happy new year. And so I was just minding my own business, and when Spirit reminded me that I did not do this year's yearly predictions. Normally I do them on our local radio stations, but then in this case I'm going to be doing it here this year in 2023 on our channel, on Tebeng Readings channel. So we are going to be starting on an international front. The previous predictions, 2 years ago, there was a prediction about how Russia will be trying to emerge as a powerhouse. That time when I did, or when this revelation had come out through me, I personally had no idea what was going to be happening with the Russia and Ukraine situation, but we find ourselves here. We find ourselves very divided as to which side of the politics we stand on, but you can't also ignore the bloodshed that has been happening. So regardless of where your political stance stand, the central issue is lives were lost, and that cannot be good regardless of what we believe. But this is war. This is war, and this is what happens in the world, in the physical world, sadly. So Russia is going to continue to take over control. So why is this thing happening? It will be continuing for the next 2 to 3 years. Round about the end of the 2 years is going to look like there's a little bit of a lull, but it will come up again because the spiritual wave is coming through for Russia, and they want to become a powerhouse, and they want to come neck to neck with America. You see, spiritualists get to have these kind of revelations because every other thing is located in spirit. So your geopolitical issues, your social issues, your economical issues, the entire world structure has to have some sort of a spiritual rooting before it can actually happen. And this is why in South Africa, my country of birth, we've been having prophets, people that are able to see into the future, people like Abo Babo Credo Motwa. And we have not been very kind to such prophets. They have said things, and now we are currently experiencing them, and they are gone. And we forgot to say, what did you mean there? What did you mean there? And it is in the nature of people to want to separate the politics, the economics, and every other structure that governs this world, and separate that from spirit. But everything else emanates from a spiritual world, and that's why you will have such kind of revelations. So Russia will continue to want to be the powerhouse. So after Ukraine, we are yet to see how many other enemies they would have made, and exactly how they're going to be trying to strategize into them ultimately becoming the powerhouse, which will eventually happen. You look into the next 15 years, you will find Russia sitting at the top. So you have India. India will find itself having to fit in with other countries with a intent to try to expand on market exports, because as much as India has been good on technology exports, on the broadbands and the internet and all of this other satellite enhancing technological innovations that they've been doing, it is revealed to me that they will now try to play catch up in other sectors of the economy, because if you look at India, they've been quite secure within themselves as a sovereign country, as people who have a large enough of a population to sell amongst, to trade amongst themselves. Yes, you look at the textile industry that has been booming for a number of years internationally, but now they're going to find other sectors that they're going to be penetrating. So if you look at any other product that you have, you will find made in China, made in China. So now you will find another increased manufacture certain things manufactured in India, and that's how they will be trying to penetrate into the economical world. Now, speaking of made in China, let's come into China. Um, and Spirit says China will be going into more experiments, looking into chemical warfare. That sounds abstract. If you were to think about Corona, the coronavirus as it was, you get to understand that this was actually an airborne illness, where it felt like something is somehow sprayed into the air more than any other form of transmission. We understand that it started with the pork in some company and restaurant, and then it was all over the world, but then the sustenance of it, it was on a chemical front. So it will come up with more experiments. So I'm going to try and be as cautious as possible, because we need to become we need to become very responsible prophets, and don't don't try to pluck out the feathers of turkeys and birds. Uh, but what we understand is that China will continue with more experience, with more experiments. So while Russia is doing the actual militia coup d'etats in a very old school way, China will be trying to do it in a much more chemical warfare kind of a way. Korea will also try to position itself as a competitor to China. So it's yet to come out to see what they are going to be doing. You think of the Northern Korea and how they're so good in manufacturing arms and bombs and everything else. So chemical warfare, look into the east, and let's see how people are trying to play into this international space and trying to change the world as we know it. Um, Now, Britain, they recently lost the queen, and now there's a new dispensation that is coming through. It will have teething problems. It will have its own teething problems and significant protests. So you are likely not to have people that are doing cyber protests. You are going to actually find people who will go out into the streets and have to voice out their dissatisfaction as the new dispensation is trying to find its footing post the death of the Queen. Now, speaking of protest, let us localize it to my country of birth, South Africa. A few protests will erupt as people will be taking a stance against the ruling party, which is the African National Congress. And most of these protests will be organized by interest groups. So you would realize, if you are in South Africa, or if you've been following South African politics, that pre-corona days, people used to go out into the streets and protest about service delivery issues. This municipality is not doing that, that other municipality is not doing the other. But in this case, it will be interest groups that are going to be very unhappy about the snail pace of opposition parties, almost seeming relaxed or even desensitized by what is going on in the ruling party. So it will have an atmosphere of everybody just fighting for their own job security. And this is where the interest groups are going to be coming through and trying to have a voice on behalf of the people. If you were to think of Zaki Ahmed, the leader of the Treatment Action Campaign. Remember when government was not recognizing HIV and AIDS as a serious issue then, when former President Thabo Mbeki was on the presidential role there. So you think about such an era where individuals were now becoming heroic, individuals were changing policy, individuals were becoming very, very, very vocal about their own dissatisfaction. And so this is where the interest groups are going to be coming through, where individuals are going to be becoming the heroes of the people. So so, if you look into the ANC, a lot of things are happening currently. You will find out that there will be more factions coming through. We are usually used to just two sets of factions, but in this case, I see a division of three that is coming through. So, let us go. Yes, it will be interesting to see who is the third person who will be emerging and trying to lead a certain faction there. So you would understand why this kind of turbulence would want for other people to come through and speak on behalf of the people. And let us speak on to finances. Not personal finance in this case, just how is the world going to favor you financially. The last other time when I did this one, we were talking of financial institutions. And at that time, the prophecy was that financial institutions are going to be much more lenient to people because we were coming into the corona space. People were losing their jobs, livelihoods were being threatened. And the prediction then was that banks are going to be much more lenient. They're going to adopt a much more, let us take you on a human to human, case by case, what is your situation so that you don't lose your assets. So in this coming year and a half, most people will buy houses. So banks are going to approve a lot of mortgage bonds. So, but as caution from Spirit, Spirit says if you're applying a house and it's approved, please check the fine print. Please check the fine print. Get a legal profession to read out for you, to have that understanding for you. Because even though most people are going to be happy, they will find that the fine print will shortchange them in some sort of a way. So kindly, please be careful. Me as in Tabby, I would really like a situation where you can have your money, ancestors give you a lump sum, and you go buy your 3.6 million rents worth of a house cash. But anyway, we live in a very capitalistic system. It is what it is. The haves will have, the have-nots will try to have. And you will try to have it within the restrictions that are laid out. So if you are in the property space, this space will boom. If you are an agent, if you're a developer, please put your best foot forward. Don't lose out. This is a good year for you. This is a good year for you to thrive as individuals in that sector. If you've been trying to sell your house, this is a good year for your house to be sold, even if it had other spiritual issues. There are certain people who would try to sell their house and the house will not be sold because it has its own spiritual bondages. So look forward to that particular grace happening. Now, let's speak to your own career, personal careers. There will be more shifts this year. So the word diversification is coming through a lot for me. There are certain people who have done this, you have done that, you've been in the political space, local political space, you've been in the local development space, you've been in the business leadership space, you've been in the communication space, whatever industry that you've been in, look at your CV. Look at your CV and see how many industries you've actually uh, been into, how many sectors you've actually been some sort of a role player into, and choose a niche that will be aligned to your own calling. There are certain careers that are just not a career, but they are a calling. And so the Spirit says it is a safe year to heed a career that is doubling up as a calling. Some people have a calling. Say, for instance, people who are teachers, who are psychologists, um, they have a spiritual calling, but the exercise of that spiritual calling will happen in a particular industry. So those kinds of profession go into them with a bit of understanding. So yeah, those people are very free to move around. Those people are very free to move around. And when we talk about callings, there'll be a lot of people who are going to be tarot card readers, who are going to be doing tarot card reading. Asian techniques of healing are coming up very strongly. Your kinetic energy and all these universal methods of healing, your alignment that you can get via your crystal stones. Concentrate on that. There will be quite, healing that are coming from such things. These are my crystal my crystal stones. Love them. They offer me peace. They have a place in my bedroom. And when I travel around and I go into certain spaces, I like to put one in my bra. I'm an African woman like that. So invest in these kinds of things that are going to be putting you in alignment, that are going to just be calming you down as a person, because a lot of things are going to be moving into how does earth really help us to be grounded people, calm people, perspective people, and all the other good words. So if you are called and your people have allowed you to still continue in your career space, unlike some of us, um, if you are called into that space, investigate what kind of a calling you have. So this is an era where you are going to have your own spiritual calling, but it will operate in your own career space. So make sure that you are in the right career space that you've always wanted to get into. I've overemphasized on this point. Now, speaking of careers, there are certain professions that need to be aware of certain things. Legals, people that are in the legal space, your paralegals, your lawyers, your attorneys, your judges, your magistrates, your um, contractors, all of these people that are in the legal space. Spirit says be aware of depression affecting you. There will be other things that are going to I don't know what will be happening, but most people who are legal professions, you will be very prone to depression. So align yourself properly. Align yourself properly. People who are in the nursing profession, I'm going to speak a little bit about what will be affecting you, but it's a thing where there will be a lot of soul migration. Many souls are going to be moving around from a spiritual world into the physical realm. So now, because you are in the business of saving lives, how certain people will be going into the other realm, how they are going to be going into death. You as a nursing profession, you as a health professional, you might be impacted because of the intense movement of spirits and souls that will be happening. So the best thing for you is to really be aligned as an individual and how you're going to go into your job space. Teachers. For teachers, the Spirit says there will be a lot of violence at school, violence at school will be rife, so be vigilant. Your scope of work will be curriculum and psychosocial issues. So it means that you, as the educator, you must be aligned spiritually, because there will be a lot of fires to put out. So the normal frustrations that are going to be coming out of families, the spirits that are going to be moving, either good or bad, that are going to be moving around. Some of them will be trying to inhabit certain physical beings, and some of them are going to be children. And you will then be at the receiving end of turbulence that will be happening in children. The spirit of suicide, parents, spirit of suicide is going to be rife in schools this year. So make sure that your children are aligned properly. Make sure that you are protecting, you are offering protection prayers for your children. Please, please, please. Please do that. Help us there. And health wise, Spirit says cancer, breast cancer, and prostate cancer are quite thick in the air. So take precautions. If you have a history in the family, get checked out. If your cancer is in remission, please make sure that you are taking care of yourselves, and just go check yourself up again, and make sure that you are fine. So that's what's happening in the health, personal health. Now, this part excites me, and I'm sure it will excite a couple of healers that I know are quite passionate about what I'm going to be talking about now. I'm just going to have a glass of water, because I'm going to be talking a lot, so pardon me if I am not being observing the correct etiquette. Military veterans, ancestors that have taken part in world wars, are going to be coming through. It excites me personally. And this is why the Spirit says that there are a lot of untold stories that are coming from people that died while they were fighting for the countries that they were fighting for. And the Spirit says most of these spirits are unhappy about the direction that the countries that they fought for are taking. So we fight. So let's check for other countries that have been colonized. Veterans that have been fighting for such independence for countries like that, people that have been taken into war. You talk about your Anglo-Boer War. You talk about your First World War, Second World War, and you think about what is happening to those spirits. What do they have to say? Because now there is a real revolution that is happening. And now, because politics are much more individually based, people are just now fighting for their purse and their Gucci bags and having a nice house somewhere at an estate, and they will suck it up for as long as a leader will provide such. But there are ancestors of countries that have fought for the liberation and have fought for the economical freedoms of certain spaces and certain countries. So what do those ancestors now have to say? And Spirit says, if you have such a person that have fought in the war, Swaziland has been doing this thing. Ancestors from Swaziland have been coming up, a lot in readings. But right now, it's going to happen. So if you, as an obscure Mpo, you know that your great grandfather has fought in some war, expect these kind of visitations that are going to be coming through. So pay attention to your dreams, and you must also pray and send more libations for further engagements with such spirits. What does that mean, Ntabi? It means that when you have had a visitation, don't be quick to say, Ntabi, what you were talking about, I saw my great-grandfather who was wearing a militia regalia, and I did not hear what he had to say. Oh, so what did they have to say? I would not know. They are your family members, they are your ancestors. But you can never go wrong with your snuff, with your water, with Your candle does not necessarily have to be a dawa candle. It has to be a candle, and you speak to those spirits and you find out what do you want to say, because most of these conversations will be build up conversations. So, why am I so excited about it? I'm personally excited because we seem to be now the blind leading the blind. And when you have spirits that are going to be coming through and trying to impact the political arenas that we are in, we need the help. Trust me, we really do. Look at the world. We need the help. So when they know that the countries are not going to the right direction and this is not what we fought for, and this is ideally where we want future generations to be, and we want to impact the leaders from a spiritual point of view, I'll buy into that. I'll buy into that. So let's come back home. Let me not lose all of you with my passions. Healing of fathers and children. There will be healing of fathers and children. Last year, the same kind of prediction came through, where it was talking about siblings rivalry. If you are having a siblings rivalry, certain things are going to come through and there will be union, there will be unity, there will be good words. And now Spirit is saying healing of fathers and their children. Which fathers? Fathers that are in the other realm who have passed on, and fathers who have passed on having wronged their own children. So those spirits will be moving through a lot. What I am picking up from this point and the previous point that I mentioned about ancestors that have taken part in wars or have fought for liberation struggles of certain countries, what I'm picking up from both of these things, it feels like it's going to be a very masculine year, where male spirits, male figures are really trying to be much more maternal, much more of fixers, much more of what can we do correctly, much more of nurturers. And that's the essence that I picked up when I got out of Spirit. So they say it's a men's world, and certain people will say the world is in this state because of men, because most of the times men were leaders. So now it's almost like men are trying to do over what they have done in this realm, in the spiritual world. And so you have fathers who have raped their children, fathers have died in jail. They're going to be coming through and doing the proper apology themselves, not when they're speaking through Ntabi during a reading. You have fathers who have left and abandoned their children, and their children, I keep on wondering, how is my father? Why did he not recognize me? What is he now saying about me? So those spirits are going to be doing a lot of moving around from spirit to the physical realm and trying to do over. So please be open. Don't be like most of my clients that get very upset when an absent father or an absent ancestral lineage are coming through and saying, we are sorry, we want to take over. And people spend 30 minutes saying, why? When they were alive, they did not care. Why do they want to care when they've died? Because these are two different worlds. These are two different worlds. And when there's spirit is always peaceful. It's always about love. It's also about fixing. It's always about tranquility. And they will come and want to have those emotions, or that, that tranquil state being enforced. So expect that. Expect that you will have that particular grouping. And Spirit says, even in this lifetime, fathers and children are going to be having some sort of a reunion. Now, the thing that I found a little bit funny about this thing is that I could only feel it for a year. So, so if the father of your child has been absent and they're coming through wanting to fix things, I can't, in my capacity as a prophet and a foreseer, say that it will expand into the next year, because I'm only shown up until then the next 12 months, but maybe certain relationships will actually last. But whatever it is that we can have as healing, it is accepted as healing. So if you see the father of your child coming through trying to make amends, do not say, where were you? Allow spirit to heal, allow spirit to impact, because spirit needs to work through individuals. So there is this other point on child spirits. Remember when I said a little bit earlier on that there will be a migration of spirit? People who have passed on are going to try to make very intense connection with the living. It will be a movement. It will really, really be a movement. It's going to be a very thin line between spirit and physical world. Spirit says child spirits. This is what I mean by child spirits. I mean children who were born. You birthed a child. You birthed a child. And you held this child in your hands. And the child died and you buried the child. The spirit of this child is going to come back very strongly. And the spirit says they will be here to make visitations for direction. For direction, there are certain children who are lost and they are in spiritual limbo. They will come to you so that you can direct them to go and rest with certain ancestors, to go and be good angels. So you, if you have seen your child in spirit, you must give them proper direction. Baby, go and rest. Baby, be a good angel. Baby, I still love you and I'm your mom. Baby, I still love you and I'm your dad. So speak to those spirits so that you can give them direction. Don't be comfortable with Gogo. I dreamt of my child and my child was looking at me. So give direction to that spirit, because the thin line between spiritual world and physical world is going to be exactly that, very thin. So speak to those spirits. Don't call me and say, Gogo, what must I say? This is your child. You know what you want to say. In readings, you know what you want to say to them. The other reason why this child spirits will be making a visitation, spirit says they will be coming for reassurance and closure. And if you ever get a moment to reassure a child that you have had, that you love them, that you still think about them, that they are not forgotten, speak to those spirits. And they them so this one will be a two-way street. Instead of you providing direction to the child, this will be a two-way street. This will be this child again assuring you of where they are and that you are loved and all of these things. Oh, and they will be coming for closure. Clearly, we all need that closure. They'll be coming for closure. Now, your favorite topic of all times, relationships, love relationships. It's your favorite topic. Some of you entertain me a lot when you want to ask about that aspect of your life and you go, I know you hate talking about relationships, but can you help me? I'll help. I'll help. It's not about what I like and what I don't like. Now, they are saying with regards to human love relationships, this is a good year for soul connections. The word soulmates is coming through, and Spirit is saying this will be happening as a result of the soul and spirit migration. The year is going to be very, very highly activated. So, if you are in a relationship that you are unhappy in, and you know that you have a soulmate of yours that exists somewhere, be open. Be open. So, this is not like the one of the fathers and the children where it might last for 12 months. This feels a little bit longer. It feels, I can actually ride on that wave in spirit with it for longer than a period of 12 months. But anyway, my point is your love crystals. This is the year for your love crystals, the pink one. the year for your for your love crystals. It's a good year for wisdom in your love crystals. Be wise about, is this person really my soulmate? So soulmates are going to be trying to find each other. Your long lost lover who is your soulmate, there will be that soul kind of connection. Ne? Specifically, there is this line that says, be reflective about what you want in relationships. Be sure, don't go with the flow, because this is not a year for casual relations. They said I must put it out as a line. When I was writing this thing, Spirit says, put it out as a standalone line, that this is not a year for casual relations, because very solid things are happening in spirit. And if you want to heal your love relationship, go and be open about it and open yourself up to your own soulmate. There are no rituals that you can do around that. You must just know who do you love the most and what is the circumstances, and be open to receiving them and speak to that. If you really, really want to get deeper into it, there are actually guided meditations on YouTube that you can listen to. And you just search guided meditations on love or finding a soul connection. And then you will hear the music, you listen to it. Why the music? Because the music gets into your subconscious and opens up your beta levels that are going to draw deeper into your inner knowing. You yourself, when they say draw into yourself, you have your own life campus of who is for me, who is not for me. And so when you hear that music that is hitting the subconscious with a particular intent, it opens you up. I'm not sure if we are ready, but many kinds of healing techniques are coming through for this year. So we spoke about relationship. We spoke about deaths. Deaths. Spirit is saying they are going to be bloody. They're going to have accidents, stabbings, and shootings. So many deaths are going to be splitting blood, taking out blood. So this is where we pray for protection. This is where we pray for alignment. And I might be sounding repetitive, but when I say there will be a lot of spirits moving around, these are good spirits, these are bad spirits. And certain things that are going to be happening in this world with regards to the bloody deaths is going to be because certain spirits that are sent out to go and look for innocent spirits that have no real intention, that have no alignment, that are very weak, they're going to fall prey into these things. And that is why all these times we've been teaching about alignment. We've been teaching about getting your own ancestors to be with you and know who they are. Know who you are in spirit. So be careful. So they're saying spiritual alignment will be of essence so that you can discern between these particular spirits that are going to be moving around so that you don't become prey. We've done deaths. What is the distinction between the bloody deaths and other normal deaths? Think of Corona, where most people died without anybody imposing death on them, or without any other thing imposing death on it. And that is the differentiation between there will be other spirits that are moving around looking for victims, and blood and deaths are going to be bloody. That's what it means. That's the difference, ne? I hope we understand. Births, people who are going to be born this year, you are pregnant and you are going to have a child. My mom works at a special school, and there's a child there who wanted so much to be pregnant. Well, they are young adults, and they're adults from 18 and above. So she wanted to be pregnant, and she wrote a letter to one of the classmates, and she said to them, please make me pregot. So Pregot. So every time in my family, when we say somebody's pregnant, we say they're pregot. So you are pregot this year, and you are going to have a baby. Your estimated date of birth is coming through, and your little bunch of happiness is coming into this year. Spirit says geniuses are born this year. Philosophers are born this year. People who will be problem solvers of the world are going to be born this year. Isn't that amazing? There are certain people, there are certain years where it will birth a certain kind of people. For example, in South Africa, when we got our independence and we were voting in 1994, we said that certain people were born free. And now we had we were moving into the millennium in 2000, and we had the 2000s, who in South Africa, they are characterized as people who are of their own kind. So here in this year, they're saying people who will solve world problems will be born this year. So given how the predictions were going so far about the revolution of past people that have been in the wars not being happy about the direction of their countries, and this year philosophers and people who will solve world problems are going to be born. This is amazing, and it's so amazing. I'm reminded of Nadine Gordimer. There's a Nobel Peace Prize winner whose name is Nadine Gordimer. She was a South African writer. And there's a book of hers called July's People. And she was talking about apartheid and the transition between apartheid and trying to form the Rainbow Nation. And she says the Rainbow Nation, to an extent, is a fallacy because in order for anybody, in order for anybody not to have the racial history in them, it's almost like the world needs to just completely die. A new generation needs to be born who are not influenced by their parents to see color. And so, with the feeling that I got when the Spirit was saying problem solvers are going to be born in this year, it's almost like Nadine Godima's prediction was coming to 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 fruition. I got excited about that. Is it too late for me not to have a baby? January, can I still have my baby in December? I'm kidding. You guys will kill me. You will not even handle my morning sicknesses in a reading. Let's come back to personal finances. Personal finances are going to improve. Investments are going to favor people. Gambling is going to favor people. I am trading quite gingerly on this point. But ancestors are not going to be giving most people a lump sum so that you can buy your 3.6 million rands cash. It's not going to be happening. Obviously, it will happen to a couple of people. But people who are into gambling, and I'm not talking about addicts. Addiction is a problem. Get yourself sorted out. Don't say Gogo said, baby, I must continue to chow to eat money for the children, to spend money for the children because gambling is being favored in the atmosphere. No. When you have your sickness, please go heal. We are in the business of healing. And I'm saying this one quite seriously because we are dealing with a lot, people that are just gambling away their future and frustrating wives and frustrating their husbands and frustrating their children. So, those who are going to be trying their hand at lotto, the lottery, who are going to be trying their hand at whatever gambling platform you use, you might be having a lot of luck. So, this luck is coming from a spiritual alignment. Spiritual alignment. So, there's going to be money that's literally flowing around in the air. On your personal finances, they are saying that permanent purchases will be favorable. So we spoke about purchasing houses. If you are purchasing something for an investment, your invest in items, invest in items that will speak to longevity. So, as much as it's not a year for casual relationships, it's not a year for you to just spend carelessly. It's a year for you to spend with an intent of I am investing in something serious, because finances are going to be favoring you if you are having a long-term projection of how you are using your finances. I hope I can explain that better. Business amongst communities will thrive. In South Africa, we have a term called township economy, where I'm selling cowries and I'm selling them to a person that's selling the stones, the crystal stones, and we are doing a trade amongst each other that will thrive as well. So don't be afraid to go out there and market and advertise your things. One of the business networks that I'm in, the lady asks if McDonald's and Coca-Cola are still advertising their products today. They don't need to advertise to anybody. Everybody knows who they are, and they've already built an addiction among some of us. Coca-Cola, can't resist. But they're still advertising. So what stops you as an entrepreneur to advertise your business? Businesses in technology, the tech industry is going to flourish. You are fixing cell phones, selling cell phones, developing softwares, opening your own shop of selling laptops or whatever. Anything in tech is going to flourish. The tech space is going to flourish going forward. So invest in those. Don't give up. So people that have studied IT, how can you then equip yourself and sell yourself, your knowledge, sell products, find the gaps in your industry and become an entrepreneur in the IT space? Think about that and go flourish. The next point is on cryptocurrency. Spirit says it will have a polar opposite effect. It's either people are going to really thrive and make it, or they're going to dip and lose. So, Spirit says be careful as you are trading or as you are going into this space, and you must draw from your intuition. When you are getting an instruction to draw from your intuition, it means that there will be an inner system that will be highly active to guide you, and you must listen to it. So you are trading, you are bitcoining, you are doing your whatever it is that you are doing, you are drop shipping, all of these terms are, all of them, you are doing all of these things. Something must guide you to say, is this a sale? Can I buy? Can I trade? Something must guide you besides what you are looking at, because even the numbers are going to be a little bit sketchy. Even the numbers are going to be a little bit tricky, but your inner guiding system will not fail you. So draw from within, not necessarily from what your cognitive mind is saying. I feel like I've been talking a lot, but I am finishing off. It's a yearly prediction, and it needs to speak on too many points. Um, Spirit says people must go back into eating healthy. Most importantly, vegetables. Vegetables, drink your water, um, and watch out for airborne diseases that are going to be affecting skin. Most importantly, amongst small children, your toddlers, kindergarten, crash going to around the ages of 12. Allergies are going to come through, so please be careful with the little ones. The talks of Ebola will come. The scare of Ebola will come, but it will soon fade. More like the monkeypox story. Remember that. Yeah. If you are in Kenya, Spirit says there will be a lot of spiritual callings that are going to be coming through. In South Africa, there's a term that says everybody is now going to initiation school to be trained as a healer. Everybody we are twasa. Everybody's suddenly having a mushroom of callings. So this is a spiritual revolution, and I think there's a video of mine where I speak about it partly. But now the spiritual revolution is going to be ending up in Kenya. And most of you will be dreaming of drums. You'll be hearing sounds of drums, drums in the water, drums everywhere else. If you are having those, please be awakened. Spirit is literally touching you, touching you. You are special. You are a special one. Be cognizant of what's happening. Ghana is going to be emerging as a chemical beauty industry. Sorry. So, while China is emerging as a chemical experimenting country, Ghana is coming through as a beauty chemical industry. Most people are going to have revelations of, I can use this herb and do whatever and improve the lives of people in the beauty industry. You look at your skin, your acne, your hair issues. So if you have the foresight, you can start trading with Ghana on its beauty products. Obviously, you'll do your research, you'll do your due diligence, you will do whatever. But it's coming through. Some whiff is building Ghana as one of the beauty industries that are going to be emerging and fixing chemical beauty issues of people of color. I don't know, why does that excite me? I am finishing off. And when I'm finishing off, I'm trying to wrap up how I was transported into spirit and how I felt 2023 to be. 2023 is going to be a spiritually trying year. It will be a year where there are a lot of spiritual gray areas. So, you know that this dress is white. We can go into debate about what color this is. So you see it when it's sitting against a white thing to see that it's not completely white. And you need a spirit of discernment so that you are very sure what your revelation is. So it should not be a revelation that looks like white and is not white. You need to be so spiritually aligned. You need to trust your intuition. You need to go into prayer. You cannot fail, family, with this combination. Your water. Pray with your water. Have your water. Have your candle. This is a dawa candle, but you can have your own candle that you pray with. And have your snuff if you are a person that uses snuff. Please let I not receive calls of saying, Gogo, can you kindly check for me if my ancestors are snuff using people because you are wanting to project? Ne? This is how most of us talk to our people in the ancestors, in the ancestral world. There's a thick air of 2023. Almost like when you are going through your Mercury retrograde. Healers will know what that is. That's when the full moon comes and blows you up and completely throws you out of kilter all the time, and you can't sleep and you are edgy and you are moody, you are agitated, you are emotional, you are crying at every other thing. This year is going to feel mostly like that, and it's not only for healers, it's for everybody. So your alignment is very important. Your discernment is very important. With this many souls moving around, and with you just not knowing what is real and what is not, who is real and who is not, who's a spiritual scammer and who is not, who are you and who are you not, who is trying to sabotage your being and who is not. So it will be one of those years where the things that you know are going to be questioned. The things that you have already think are already thinking that you have them sussed out about yourself are going to be questionable, And the true essence of who you are is going to come through. It's going to come through. The true essence of who you are is going to come through. And once again, your ancestors are ready to work with you. God is already been available, already given us life so that we can move into this year. I pray that you know yourself. I pray that you stick with yourself. I pray that you do not become self-centered in the bid to stick with yourself. Your true original self will be coming through. And I pray that you are able to like who's going to be emerging out of you this year. Because you have to choose yourself. You have to choose the right soulmate. You have to make the necessary closures in spirit. And you can only do so when you know who you are and when you know your spiritual identity. I'm not being sarcastic when I say Happy New Year, given exactly what I just said. May the good Lord be with you. May you prosper. May abundance be what you are going for. My name is Intabiseng Mojana, and I'm a spiritual medium. Thank you so much. I promise to wear a necklace of the cowrie so that people can see what a cowrie is. This is a cowrie. This is a cowrie. Thank you.